Stranded on the precipice. The crimson dust of Kepler 627b swirled around Alex Rodriguez's battered exosuit, each gust a reminder of how spectacularly wrong everything had gone. The emergency landing had been anything but smooth, more of a controlled crash that left his exploration vessel in smoking ruins behind him. Twisted metal gleamed under the planet's twin suns, a monument to human fragility in this unforgiving alien landscape. Alex took stock of his situation with the methodical precision that had kept him alive through countless deep space missions. Oxygen reserves, 72 hours. Emergency rations, enough for 3 days. Communication systems, completely dead. Survival kit, miraculously intact. The planet stretched before him like a nightmare landscape painted in shades of rust and amber. Jagged rock formations rose like broken teeth, casting long shadows across a terrain that seemed to pulse with an alien metabolism. Nothing about Kepler 627b suggested hospitality. Everything suggested immediate, violent death. A distant rumble caught his attention. Not thunder, the sound was too mechanical, too deliberate. Something moved beneath the planet's surface, something large enough to make the ground tremble with each labored breath. "Come on, Rodriguez," he muttered to himself, checking the seal on his environmental suit. Just another day at the office. The first challenge was finding water. His suit's sensors could detect moisture, but the readings were inconsistent. Patches of what might be liquid shifted and changed, disappearing between one sensor sweep and the next. The planet seemed to be playing a game of hide and seek, and Alex was rapidly becoming convinced he was losing. As the twin suns began to set, casting the landscape in a deep crimson glow, Alex identified a series of rocky outcroppings that might provide shelter. Shelter meant protection from whatever predators called this hellscape home. Shelter meant a chance to reassess, to plan, to survive. He moved carefully, each step calculated. The exosuit's hydraulic joints whirred softly, compensating for the planet's slightly higher gravity. Every movement required extra effort, a constant reminder that he was an intruder here. The rock formation loomed closer. What had looked like simple stone from a distance revealed intricate patterns, not natural, not entirely artificial. Something in between. Crystalline structures embedded in the rock seemed to pulse with a soft, internal light. Alex's scientific curiosity began to override his survival instinct. "What are you?" he whispered, running a gloved hand along the surface. A sudden tremor. Not from beneath the ground this time, but from the rock itself. The crystalline structures began to shift, realigning in patterns that suggested, no, that couldn't be, intelligence. Alex stepped back, hand instinctively moving to the plasma cutter secured at his hip. Whatever was happening, he wasn't going to be caught off guard. The planet had other plans. A section of the rock face dissolved, revealing an opening that definitely hadn't existed moments before. Soft bioluminescence spilled out, casting everything in a pale green light that felt more like an invitation than a threat. "You've got to be kidding me," Alex muttered. His training screamed at him to retreat, to find a more defensible position. But something else, call it curiosity, call it the explorer's spirit that had driven humans to every corner of the known universe, urged him forward. One step. Then another. The opening remained, patient. Waiting. Alex Rodriguez had explored dozens of alien worlds. He'd survived meteor storms, radiation bursts, and encounters with biological systems that defied human comprehension. But something about this moment felt different. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about discovery. As he approached the opening, the bioluminescent light seemed to pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat. The planet was watching. Waiting. Judging. Little did Alex know, his first step into that mysterious passage would change everything, not just for him, but for the understanding of human potential in the vast, unknown universe. The twin suns set. Darkness approached. And beneath the surface of Kepler 627b, something ancient stirred. Unexpected alliances. The passageway defied every scientific principle Alex Rodriguez thought he understood. Walls that seemed to breathe, surfaces that shifted between solid and translucent, light that moved like liquid, this was beyond technology. This was something else entirely. His suit's sensors went haywire, spinning through incomprehensible readings. Temperature fluctuated wildly. Electromagnetic fields danced in patterns that looked almost like communication. Almost. A sound broke through the ambient hum. Not mechanical. Not quite organic. Something in between. Click. Whisper. Pulse. Alex froze. The sound wasn't random. It was deliberate. Intelligent. From the shadows, a form emerged. Not human. Not anything he'd encountered in decades of interstellar exploration. Roughly humanoid, but constructed of what appeared to be living crystal and organic fiber. Multiple limbs moved with a grace that suggested both extreme intelligence and complete alienness. First contact protocols rushed through Alex's mind. Remain calm. Show no threat. Communicate. The crystalline being tilted what might have been a head. Tendrils of bioluminescent energy rippled across its surface, a language of light and motion. I come in peace, Alex said, knowing the universal translator in his suit might be completely useless. To his shock, a response came. Not in words, but in a series of complex light patterns that somehow translated directly into his mind. Fragments of meaning. Impressions of thought. Danger. Threat. Survival. The being was communicating, but more than that, it was asking for help. Images flooded Alex's consciousness. A planetary ecosystem in collapse. Massive environmental shifts. A species on the brink of extinction. And something else. Something darker. A predatory force that threatened not just this species, but the entire planetary ecosystem. You need help, Alex realized. It wasn't a question. The crystalline being, which he now understood was called a lumina in the brief mental exchange, pulsed with what could only be described as cautious hope. Alex's mind raced. His survival kit was limited. His technology was damaged. But human ingenuity had overcome far worse challenges. The Lumina showed him visions of their primary threat. Massive geological instabilities. Predatory organisms that consumed entire ecosystems. Environmental collapse triggered by complex planetary changes. We can work together, Alex said, surprising himself with the certainty in his voice. The first step was communication. Using components from his damaged exploration suit, Alex began constructing a rudimentary translation device. Bits of quantum processors. Fractured communication arrays. Adaptive linguistic algorithms. The Lumina watched, tendrils of light dancing with what seemed like curiosity. Hours passed. Or what passed for hours on this alien world. Time felt different here, fluid, malleable. Alex worked, the Lumina occasionally providing subtle guidance through those strange light-based communications. Finally, a breakthrough. The device hummed to life, a crude but functional bridge between human technology and Lumina communication. More than a translator, a method of shared understanding. I'm Alex, he said, watching the device's lights flicker. The response came not in words, but in a complex symphony of light and subtle vibration. A name. Or something like a name. Zara Lynn. Guardian. Survivor. Outside the crystalline chamber, the planet continued its slow, dangerous dance. Geological shifts threatened to tear the very ground apart. Predatory ecosystems circled like hungry sharks. But inside, something remarkable was happening. Two entirely different species. One technological. One fundamentally alien. Finding common ground. Finding hope. Zaralin's light tendrils extended, a gesture of tentative alliance. Alex reached out, his gloved hand meeting the shifting crystalline surface. First contact was never simple. But sometimes, survival demanded impossible partnerships. The real challenge was just beginning. Technological ingenuity. The planetary core of Kepler, 627b was dying. Alex understood this now with a clarity that went beyond scientific observation. Through the intricate light-based communication with Zaralin, he had seen the planet's slow, inevitable collapse. Massive tectonic plates shifted unpredictably. Electromagnetic storms ravaged the surface. The luminous civilization, once spread across entire continents, had been reduced to these hidden crystalline sanctuaries, desperately clinging to survival. "We need to stabilize the core," Alex muttered, spreading out the remnants of his exploration equipment across the bioluminescent chamber. Zaralin's light tendrils danced around the makeshift workstation, offering fragments of planetary data. Geological maps. Energy signatures. Structural weaknesses. Alex's mind worked like a computational engine. Every problem was a puzzle. Every limitation an opportunity. He began cannibalizing his exploration suit's advanced systems. The quantum positioning array became a geological stabilization probe. Damaged communication relays transformed into energy redistribution networks. A quantum entanglement communicator, typically used for faster-than-light messaging, now served as a planetary stress analyzer. "Humans are good at improvisation," he explained to Zaralin, who watched with what seemed like fascination. "We don't just use tools. We reimagine them." The first prototype was crude. Dangerous, even. A device that could potentially trigger the very planetary collapse it was meant to prevent. But Alex understood risk. He had navigated asteroid fields. Survived radiation storms. Explored worlds that would kill an unprepared human in seconds. Zaralin contributed. Not with direct technological intervention, but with an understanding of the planet's fundamental energy networks. The Lumina saw energy as a living thing, something that could be guided, not just harnessed. "We'll use the planet's own electromagnetic field," Alex explained, adjusting a makeshift conductor composed of fragments from his suit, Lumina crystal structures, and raw planetary minerals. Like acupuncture. But for an entire world. The device looked impossible. A web of crystalline threads, quantum processors, and organic conductors that seemed to defy every known principle of engineering. But in the vast, weird universe of interstellar exploration, impossible was just another challenge. Zaralin's communication became more intense. Urgent. Warning of an impending geological event that would destroy what remained of their civilization. They had one chance. The planetary core rumbled. Massive tectonic plates began to shift. Electromagnetic storms gathered on the horizon like angry gods. Alex's fingers flew across the improvised control interface. Quantum algorithms danced. Energy networks realigned. The very fabric of the planet seemed to pause, holding its breath. A massive tremor. Then another. Then. Stillness. The stabilization probe worked. Not perfectly. Not permanently. But enough to give the Lumina, and Alex, a fighting chance. Zaralin's light patterns exploded in what could only be described as jubilation. Complex, beautiful. A symphony of survival. "We did it," Alex whispered. But they both knew this was just the beginning. The planet was stabilized. For now. The real work of rebuilding. Of understanding. Of survival, had just started. Outside the crystalline chamber, Kepler, 627b continued its slow, dangerous dance. But now, it danced with a rhythm of hope. Echoes of understanding. Days blended into weeks. Or what passed for weeks on Kepler, 627b. Time moved differently here, fluid and unpredictable, much like the planet itself. Alex Rodriguez had long since abandoned traditional human measurements of existence. The crystalline chamber had become more than a shelter. It was a bridge between two civilizations, two ways of perceiving reality. Zaralin had begun to share more than just technical information. Through intricate light-based communications, Alex was learning the true depth of Lumina culture. They were not just a species. They were a living network, each individual a node in a vast, planetary consciousness. Your people, Alex attempted to articulate through the translation device, they're more like a living computer than individual beings. The response came in a cascade of light and subtle vibrations. Not quite words. More like a living concept that danced between communication and pure experience. The Lumina saw individuality differently. Each was both unique and part of a greater whole. Like neurons in a massive, planet-wide brain. Emotion, memory, knowledge, all shared. All interconnected. In return, Alex shared human stories. Tales of exploration. Of survival. Of pushing beyond limitations. He told them about the first lunar landing. About humans crossing oceans in wooden ships. About surviving ice ages, global conflicts, technological revolutions. Each story was a testament to human resilience. The Lumina absorbed these narratives with an intensity that went beyond mere listening. They experienced the stories. Lived them. A massive environmental threat loomed on the planet's horizon. Something the planetary stabilization had only temporarily delayed. The Lumina's collective memory showed Alex fragmented visions, massive predatory organisms. Ecosystem-level parasites that consumed entire planetary networks. We call them the Devourers, Zaralin communicated. Not a direct translation, but the closest human language could manage. These weren't simple creatures. They were systemic threats. Organisms that didn't just consume physical matter, but disrupted entire planetary energy networks. They had nearly destroyed the Lumina civilization multiple times throughout their history. Alex realized something profound. The Lumina hadn't just been struggling to survive. They had been fighting a war. A war for their planet's very existence. His human mind began to construct strategies. Not just technological solutions, but comprehensive approaches that merged human tactical thinking with Lumina's holistic understanding. We don't just fight, Alex explained, sketching complex diagrams using light-reactive minerals and damaged quantum processors. We adapt. We learn. We transform. The diagrams came alive. Showing potential defense mechanisms. Ways to not just resist the Devourers, but to fundamentally change the planetary ecosystem to make it inhospitable to these threats. Zaralin's light patterns shifted. Excitement. Hope. Understanding. They were no longer just survivor and alien. They were partners. Collaborators in a fight for survival that transcended individual species. As the first signs of the Devourers appeared on the planetary horizon, massive, undulating forms that seemed to consume energy itself, Alex Rodriguez smiled. Humanity had faced impossible odds before. This would be no different. The real battle was just beginning. Redemption and hope. The Devourers approached like a living nightmare. Massive energy tendrils stretched across the planetary horizon, consuming everything in their path. Entire geological formations collapsed. Electromagnetic networks disintegrated. The very fabric of Kepler 627b seemed to tremble. Alex Rodriguez stood at the center of the Lumina's last sanctuary, surrounded by a web of technology that was equal parts human innovation and alien complexity. Zaralin's crystalline form pulsed with an intensity that suggested both terror and determination. This isn't just about survival, Alex muttered, his fingers dancing across an interface that merged quantum computing with living crystal networks. This is about proving something. The plan was audacious. Impossibly complex. A solution that required the precise combination of human tactical thinking and the Lumina's holistic planetary awareness. They would not just defend. They would transform. The first wave of devourers crashed against their defensive network. Massive energy constructs that consumed matter and information with equal hunger. Each tendril was a living weapon, capable of breaking down entire ecosystems in moments. But they hadn't counted on human ingenuity. Alex had repurposed every piece of technology at his disposal. His damaged exploration suit. Fragments of communication arrays. Quantum processors originally designed for deep space navigation. Now, they became something else entirely. A planetary immune system. The defensive network didn't just block the devourers. It began to adapt. To learn. To transform the very energy networks that the creatures used to consume. Zaralin's collective consciousness interfaced directly with the system. Millions of years of planetary memory flowed through the network. Every previous encounter with the devourers. Every near-extinction event. Humanity brought something different. Something the devourers had never encountered. Unpredictability. Where the Lumina saw patterns, Alex introduced chaos. Tactical variations. Unexpected solutions that defied the devourers' ability to predict and consume. The battle raged across multiple energy spectrums. Physical matter dissolved and reformed. Entire sections of the planet shifted and realigned. Hours passed. Or what passed for hours in this moment of cosmic conflict. Then. Silence. The devourers retreated. Not defeated. But changed. Transformed by an encounter they could not have anticipated. Alex collapsed, exhausted. Zaralin's crystalline form flickered, the closest thing to emotional exhaustion a collective consciousness could experience. "We did it," Alex whispered. But they both understood. This was more than a victory. This was a fundamental shift in planetary existence. In the distance, the first signs of planetary recovery emerged. New energy networks. Transformed ecosystems. A world reborn. Humanity had not just survived. They had evolved. As the twin suns of Kepler, 627b rose, casting light on a transformed landscape, Alex Rodriguez understood something profound. Survival was never just about strength. It was about adaptation. About connection. About seeing possibilities where others saw only limitations. The universe was vast. Complicated. Dangerous. But hope. Hope was universal.